All that we are is a product of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him, as the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. Those are the opening lines of the Dhammapada, a book which was written by a guy that you've probably never heard of. They call him the Buddha. I'd say that he was onto something. Pretty wise for a guy who lived over 2,500 years ago. I've come to realize something in the past couple years that many people discover much earlier in life. That the way you think affects the way you feel. Pretty simple. Most of the emotions that we'll ever feel were born of thought, especially the petty feelings. In recent years, I've tried to wrangle my thoughts, to control them, to beat them into submission. One wayward thought can destroy a man's entire life, or the lives of others. I discovered something else about thinking in the recent past that came to me as a shock. I read that not everybody has an internal monologue. Not everyone thinks in language. I most certainly think in words and can't imagine it any other way. I'm very curious as to how they do think, the people who don't think in words, if they don't speak to themselves. My inner monologue is unending. I have a theory that is probably completely wrong, a half-cocked idea that I've not even deliberated upon that intensely. I feel that perhaps those who think in language are far more susceptible to anxiety and depression. After all, isn't the most effective treatment for these conditions cognitive behavioral therapy? And I'm no expert, but isn't CBT all about changing the way that you think about something to produce a more desirable outcome? If you can change the way that you think, you can change your entire life, for better or for worse. People get stuck in negative thought patterns that destroy them. Despite all of this, I don't want to find a better way to think. I'd like to completely quiet my mind and kill my inner monologue once and for all. Maybe there are exercises for learning how to become a different kind of thinker. Sometimes I tire of thinking in words. I wonder what kind of effect that would have on my life. This year I've given myself some goals. I'd like to be a better version of myself, a more positive person. One thing I wanted to do was give out one compliment every day. It sounds silly, but it's a legitimate goal of mine, though I haven't followed through with it very well, to be honest. Another goal is to stop being so judgmental. I don't think that I'm that bad, but I definitely have biases and make snap judgments the initial moment that I meet someone. I'm pretty much always proven wrong and end up feeling like a jerk, which brings me to another goal of mine. Love thy enemy. Not that I even have any enemies. I'm thinking more along the lines of trying to recognize one good trait in somebody, even when they're annoying me in conversation. I wonder what kind of place the world would be if we all just took a little more active control over our thoughts instead of letting them run unchecked in our heads, to realize that they don't make us what we are, that we are not what we think. I'm almost embarrassed to say how long it took for me to come to that conclusion on my own.